welcome back. Let's talk about shading a sphere. So let's go ahead and draw a sphere. I'll use my pencil brush to draw a sphere. I can orient it or position it however I wish. And now we're going to think about how this sphere is going to create a cast shadow. Let's first of all indicate our contours. I think it's important to indicate the hidden areas that you don't see, so that's why I'm drawing these dotted lines in. It reminds me that this is a dimensional surface. And what I'll do next is I'll make a new layer. Hopefully you know the keyboard shortcut for making a new layer by now, but if you don't, it's Shift Option Command N, Shift Alt Control N on the PC side. And we're going to examine how this light will affect this rounded area. So the light will kind of hit the front area of the sphere, but then as we go past this imaginary line here, it starts to not receive direct light so much, so it starts to get a little bit more shaded, and the darkest part of our shading will be at the very back, right? So the first step is when you're drawing your shading, it's to kind of create an outline. I usually like to make an intermediate layer where I can go ahead and indicate those things. And then same thing for the shadow. So we've got the shadow here. It's going to be roughly elliptical in shape. Is this perfect? Is this 100% scientifically accurate? No. But the idea is to make something believable for sketching purposes. So I've got my shading outline indicated, I've got my shadow outline indicated, and so what I'll do is I'll make a brand new layer. I'll switch back to my soft round brush, and what I know is I know that this area right here will probably be the darkest, and I'm shading along the contours. I'm getting lighter as we get to the right side of this sphere, and then similarly I'm starting from light to medium to dark. Take a darker value here. You have to maybe think about adjusting your pressure sensitivity. If you're getting fairly even flow when you're using your brush, it has to do with the pressure sensitivity setting. So double check that. Okay, that's our shading. And then our cast shadow. Again, as we get further out, it's going to get a little bit lighter, but then closer to the object, it's going to be dark. And this is on a flat surface, so it's okay if I shade like I'm doing. Now, why are we going through all of these exercises at the very beginning? It's to, first of all, help you develop that hand-to-eye coordination when you're drawing. It's better just to focus on drawing simple stuff before we get into more complex things. But also, it's just to kind of allow you to not only get practice with the ability to draw digitally, but also getting used to some of these keyboard shortcuts that we're going to be using over and over again as we get more advanced. So I'm making that transition more gradual, it's getting lighter. Let's now turn off that outline layer, and then we can come back in if we need to, and we can go ahead and clean it up. Now, because this is a round object, I am not going to go back in with the polygon lasso tool and make it look nice and crisp. I'm just going to keep it soft, because that helps connote the idea that there's no edges, right? It's a sphere, there's no edges. And so now we have, shading that is somewhat believable for this area. Now, the real way, I guess, is like if you actually have a ball, or if you have some round spherical object that you have on your desk and you can actually look at it, study it. That's what I would highly recommend. But this is, you know, a good baseline to basically say, hey, the light is hitting this left edge here, so everything else outside of that is getting progressively darker, and it gets the darkest, you know, at the area where we're getting no direct light. So the same thing down here, it will be darker down here, because that's the area where no light, that's where the sun doesn't shine. Pun intended. All right, so in the next video, we'll take a look at your assignment, and you know, kind of like what I would like for you to practice on. You know, if you're watching this video and you're not in my digital drawing class per se, you can always tag me on Instagram and share what you're working on. But I'm developing this for a course, so yeah, I look forward to seeing what you come up with. See you in the next video.